The Mirror in the Cave. In a village nestled at the foot of a mountain, there lived a man named Thomas. He was once a successful merchant, but after losing all his fortune in a financial crisis, he left the city behind to live in solitude in the countryside. Thomas rented a small hut, worked on a farm, and spent most of his time in reflection. Though his life was peaceful, he was still haunted by regret. One day, while walking in the forest, Thomas stumbled upon a hidden cave behind thick foliage. Inside, he discovered an old, dusty mirror hanging on the stone wall. On the mirror, there was a faint inscription: "Whoever looks into this mirror will see the most precious thing in their life." Thomas wiped off the dust and looked into the mirror. To his surprise, he saw nothing but himself, gaunt, older, with sad and tired eyes. Disappointed, he shook his head and walked away. That night, he couldn't sleep. The words on the mirror echoed in his mind. The next day, he returned to the cave. This time, when he gazed into the mirror, something changed. He saw scenes from his life: sharing a simple meal with villagers, children laughing whom he had once helped, the image of him watering plants under the afternoon sun. These were small, ordinary moments, but filled with warmth and love. Tears welled up in his eyes. He realized that while he had been clinging to the regrets of a lost wealthy life, he had overlooked what was truly precious: human connection, peace, and the ability to live meaningfully each day. From that day forward, Thomas lived differently. He smiled more, spoke kindly with neighbors, and shared what little he had. Though he still lived in the same small hut, his heart felt lighter than ever. He never returned to the cave again, because now the real mirror was his everyday life, where he could see happiness reflected back at him. Thomas wasn't a bad person. He was a reflection of many of us, once ambitious, full of dreams, willing to sacrifice, only to be met with disappointment. After losing his job, his status, and the relationships that once defined his identity, Thomas entered a deep personal crisis. He felt empty. Each day passed like a shadow of who he used to be. Deep inside, he didn't seek out the magic mirror out of curiosity, but out of hope. A hope that something, anything, might help him reconnect with himself, a small light in the growing darkness of his soul. When he saw nothing in the mirror, his disappointment wasn't just about a dusty old object. It was a silent cry. "I truly have nothing left." Yet, in that moment of facing emptiness, his heart began to open. No longer chasing or resisting, he began to notice the world around him again. The sound of birds, the scent of leaves, the flow of water. And deeper still, he began to feel gratitude for the people who had stood by him, people he had long overlooked. Thomas didn't change because of a magical vision in a mirror. He changed because, for the first time, he looked directly into himself, with his heart. We often believe happiness is a destination, but the more we chase it, the more exhausted we become. True happiness isn't found in wealth or achievements, but in an inner fullness, something that arises when we stop comparing and start being grateful. No one is worthless. When Thomas lost his fame and wealth, he thought he had nothing left to offer. But his kindness, his quiet generosity, those were what kept him loved. Sometimes our greatest value lies not in what we show, but in what we silently give. The present moment is always enough if we choose to truly live in it. The mirror in the cave is a symbol. Reflection only happens when we pause, stay still, and reconnect with ourselves. No one else can give us happiness. unless we are ready to open our hearts to life happening right now. Accepting loss doesn't make us weak, it makes us wise. Thomas didn't deny his sadness or failure. He walked through them, and in doing so, found something deeper, a peace no one could ever take from him. Happiness doesn't come from what we own. It comes from how we see and how we cherish life each and every day.